If I can give some advice to a young entrepreneur that's out there trying to make their name, trying to build something, trying to grind, trying to become somebody that's successful and build an empire, these are a few things that I would tell you. Hey, how you doing? I'm Casey versus Internet Digital Marketer for the last 15 years. Have helped small businesses get to the next level when it comes to traffic, as well as build online e-commerce businesses. Anywho, one of those things is getting away from the thought of failure. A lot of entrepreneurs get stuck in the mindset of, everything got to be perfect. I got to have everything laid out. I have to make sure that all the elements in building my business are at the highest caliber that I can perform. Waiting for the perfect moment in your business can really slow you down. I've been doing this thing for over 15 years, and I can tell you that I made some L's, I took some wins, and I've learned throughout that process. And if you can make the right decisions, you won't have to go through a lot of these things. Waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for you to get that right connection, the right investment, or the right people that you can build with so you can grow that business, when all actuality, you need to be making things happen on your own. You need to be putting things in motion and giving God his glory in this process, because it's a process and it's a humbling process. I can tell you, like, for myself, just getting started, not having the connections, not having money, having to grind and learn all of my different skill sets from videography, SEO, PPC, web development, freelancing for a decade, and just learning a lot, man. And I can tell you that a lot of entrepreneurs that I've met along the way don't want to necessarily make the changes that they got to make. If it's your lifestyle changes, if it's the way you operate, the way you do things, you might have to switch it up so you can be more efficient. You got to take proper care of yourself. It's easily said than done. It's a process that a lot of people got to go through. And if you're doing those things and you're including God in that process, it's a beautiful thing. So, just as somebody that is in this game and trying to build, these are just things that I'll mention to you. Another one of those things that I also throw out there at you is comparing yourself to others. Comparing yourself to others can really slow you down in your process, because your journey is different than anybody else's journey. Your journey might accumulate a couple roadblocks along that way, but it's part of that process. God is an amazing God, and he understands us. He is our foundation to everything we do, and so he understands what we need to learn in that process. So just understanding, not comparing yourself to other people, and just focusing on your journey and respecting people of their journey is a way to approach these things, because it's so easy to get caught up into what you don't have and what this other person might have, and their circumstances are totally different than yours. And bless them on their process. God bless them, but at the same time, you can't focus on that. You can always give respect. You can give props. You can also be a student to the game and ask people, how did that work for you? What did you do differently? How can I improve my process? Always being a student willing to learn is an incredible thing when you're trying to build a business, because if you don't do those type of things, then you're shortchanging yourself throughout your whole process. So that's another thing that I also like to mention to folks. Not setting clear goals, being realistic with yourself. If something's going to take you 3 months, it's going to take you 3 months. But let's be real about it. If it's really going to take 3 years, then you got to structure that thing out the right way so it can work, because a plan has to work. In this economy, the way things cost, shoot, man, just trying to build a business, having a family, I don't know your situation. It may just be you, but you're still going to have expenses. So you got to understanding that, just being humble to that process is a big component to growing a business online, especially in 2025. Ignoring the power of networking. This generation, I'm a millennial. I can just tell you from my generation that generations that I'm noticing now, they don't network, they don't go outside, they don't build with other people. And that's an important component. You always got to be open to growth and being a sponge to growth, but not necessarily absorbing all the nonsense that's out there. So it's just one of those things that you got to keep in mind when you're trying to build, is that networking with people, being accessible in the right instances is an important thing, and just building that connection, so that opens up the possibility of collaboration and dialogue. And this is how you get better in your process. So you got to be humble to the game and know that, hey, if I'm going to connect with other people, I got to be humble. I got to be willing to learn and grow in that process, because it's a growth process, and your entrepreneur journey may be different than somebody else's. And not prioritizing personal growth. When you don't prioritize personal growth throughout your journey, you really set yourself in the wrong direction, because building a business is a personal development process. It's one of the best forms of self-improvement that there is on the internet. Because fortunately there's millions of other people that are going through the same thing that you are, but the downside is that a lot of folks aren't successful. And I'm just telling you from the perspective of someone that has built businesses, took L's, and won wins along the way, and realizing that God is the center of this process is the way you got to move and operate, and understand that you're building the business for Him. So this business has to be honorable and has its principles. And being a perfectionist, I always think you got to have everything perfect. You know, I myself went through this whole process of like, this got to look like this, the brand got to represent like this, and missing the whole purpose of the whole plan is really everything just got to flow. It got to have a style to it to best represent what you're trying to build, because that's the ingredients of building a brand. But understanding that some things just have to be mixed at the end of the journey. Like I myself, as a music engineer, someone that, like, a lot of the music that you're hearing in these videos, I produced it. So if you want to hear more of my music, there's a link in the description where you can find more of that. But yeah, man, just this whole process, you got to learn not to be such a perfectionist. You got to just go with the flow and just willing to learn along the way. As a full-time digital marketer, I will say that a lot of corporations don't necessarily have that perspective. And that's the beauty of having a small business, where you can learn how you have to fine tune the process and just failing to take action. You know, a lot of times we have to think about, is it in a budget? Is it even feasible financially? Is it a good idea? And those things can drive you away from the overall objective. So just understand, failing to take action at opportunities. Sometimes you just need to go. Sometimes you might just need to put that money up and see what that money can do, because that money got a full-time job, and that's how you got to treat it. You got to be willing to invest in yourself, because if you can't invest in yourself, who else gonna do it? We can all be out here and make believe if we want to, but the reality is that you got to build your brand, and failing to take action can hold you back. Neglecting financial literacy. Oh man, I struggle with this one. Like being frugal about how you spend money, because you're gonna have costs along the way. It's not easy to get business finances. You know, it's a pretty difficult process, and you know, you may be on a different perspective. Maybe that might be easy for you. Maybe you may have a credit for that, but a lot of people don't. So just understand how you deal with that and how you handle that is a huge component. Lack of discipline, not having the proper discipline to submit yourself unto God and just be a better person, a better human, is part of that process. And not learning from mistakes, because we all make them. And to be out here just making it up and not thinking you're gonna make mistakes, it's the flawed way of looking at things. We are human. We serve a perfect God. We make mistakes. So learning from those mistakes is a huge component. Avoiding feedback. Oh man, some people get freaking crushed up when they get bad feedback. It happens to all of us. But keeping faith and powering through is the way we gotta approach these things. And doing your market research. Don't just be out here just assuming because you think something feel good, it's a good way to do it. Man, listen, I've been in the digital market for a long time, bro. And I've met a lot of people that thought a good idea was a good idea, and it wasn't. And sometimes you gotta do that research. Is it even feasible for you to market yourself in that environment? It can get costly. Like if you're a lawyer and you're trying to rank yourself in Google and pay for ad space, you're competing against a bunch of other lawyers. So that cost per click can get kind of expensive, you know, even if you are a big ticket lawyer. It's just what it is. So having a good PPC manager is a important thing to think about. Yeah, and by the way, if you're looking for one-on-one coaching, my name is Casey versus the Internet. There is a link in the description. Make sure you click that link, and you can book one-on-one time with me, and we can go over your business pain points and see if we can help you get to the next level. Getting stuck in analysis paralysis. Man, yo. Getting stuck in analysis paralysis, just always fine-tuning the process, refining it, making it perfect, all that jazz. Yeah, that's a big one. That's a big one right there, especially when you're like a marketing scientist. Oh man. So I've been in the weeds. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you any stories, but that's also how you get better, them 10,000 hours. So understanding how you gotta approach and how you gotta build and how you gotta analyze to make the type of content, as well as building awareness, top of the funnel awareness. This is an important component of that too. So just something to keep in mind. I mean, that goes even into social media, like how you approach that from a marketing perspective. That's a big deal. And just make sure your brand is always staying on point and staying within your niche. Like a lot of people can fall out of bounds by just making too many niches. So being focused on your niche, your brand, your area of expertise, and building there You know, just a bunch of little tips that I feel like would be helpful to some people that are looking to level up when it comes to building an online business. Neglecting to build a strong brand is another important component. Now, let's talk about that. Neglecting to build a strong brand is kind of jacked up because you have to create a clear vision for what you're trying to achieve. You got to know to attract the right customers, to build the right type of awareness, to properly target your audience in that market. So understanding these things is a big component too. So saying that to say, just neglecting the right things, you know, because a brand can sell even if you don't even run advertising. A brand can sell without any kind of promotion going, you know, because people know the brand, they trust the brand, they like the brand, and there's a maintaining of a certain level of quality involved with that brand. So that's something that people got to also thinking about, maintaining that level of quality. And people tend to get accustomed to that, and they'll shop with that brand because they know they can always find what they're looking for. And then you have some customers, and I'm saying this from the perspective of building e-commerce businesses, helping people build e-commerce businesses. One of my clients has 85,000 customers. She has 85,000 customers. She's built a Shopify site and she generated about $14 million. Now, I was just on as a consultant to advise on building traffic on the internet. And I say that to say, like, one thing that person was able to do was build a clear vision for their brand, and they attracted to their audience. So, you know, another instance of working with this shipping company, 6 figures, what is that, 9 figures, $100 million shipping company, helping them with digital marketing. What I also learned was like having all of this content or product properly organized to build that brand out within that niche is a big deal. Comment down below if you know if you have any other questions, you want to cover any particular topics, and anything in this video stick out to you, let me know down below. And not setting clear boundaries. A lot of time as an entrepreneur, you say yes to a lot of things. You say, yeah, I'm gonna do this, you know, or you overcommit, and that's a big thing, especially when you're ambitious. So you got to understand how to turn that down, player. You got to understand how to manage that and be willing to say no, you know. But that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you got to prioritize, and yeah, just being able to be flexible with that in the right ways, and failing to focus on cash flow. Building that cash flow is a big component because you got to pay for these things. There's a business being built here, you know, so the cost associated with what you're trying to do is a big deal. So you got to understand, do you have enough runway for the next couple months in the things that you need to build with that business? These are things you got to think about. Like, you still got to pay rent, you still got mortgage, you still got things you got to pay for, but you still got to move and you got to build through that process, because real hustlers understand that you can't fold. You got to keep going, because that rent due, that bill due, or you don't want to be at that job no more. So you got to put that work in. This is not for the weak, and you're doing something that's unique, so you got to stay grounded in what you're doing. So focusing on that cash flow, focusing on that revenue stream to have your dreams materialize, that's how you got to get through that. Man, a lot of young entrepreneurs, you know, my 18, 24-year-old homies that's building their businesses, you know, I rap with a couple of y'all. You know, y'all watch my videos and I appreciate that, but I'm saying a lot of y'all lacking patience. You gotta have patience in this process. You know, even folks like Gary Vee will tell you that. Gary Vee will tell you you gotta have patience if you're trying to build something. You're trying to build a brand. Young generals that's trying to network, work together, make money online, exchange good information that are Christians. You trying to build a unit? Man, you can't have patience. You gotta have patience. You dig what I'm saying? And understanding the importance of systems. Building the system out, how you gonna run that route, how that business gonna flow, you know, connecting with people. You gotta understand how the system's gonna flow, man. That's a big component of that too. But if you like this type of content, make sure you drop a comment down below. Make sure you hit that like button. Click the link in the description. Join the tribe. Yours truly, Casey versus the Internet. I'm out. You dig?
Change, I got the proof, I got the proof. Live with the pain, stay in my lane, speaking my truth, speaking my truth. Niggas still lame, need to be tamed, not just a few, not just a few. Look at my rain, look like a cane, I got the juice.
And I can't do straight swerving, smoking on something medicated with a bad bitch in suburban. I'm young, black, and I'm Irvin. Scratch that, I'm a tycoon. Break the pound down, distribution to the colony on the glass spoon. I'm dope. Like literally that nigga Red the Savage from the top rope trying to go try 6 figures.